Live long and prosper, Mr. Boimler.
Also.
So we're just over 2 weeks away from Strange New Worlds Season 2, and we've got the second full trailer that drops today. As always, I'm Al, this is the Geek in Review. And before I break the trailer down, let's have a little look at it.
You're gonna start the engine sometime soon, Erica?
Don't worry, I did this 100 times during the war. It's like riding a bike.
I sense a tension, the feeling that something's in the air.
Oh my God.
Our job puts us up against death. And we might not like it, but we do have to face it.
Hold on to your saddles.
We are explorers. It's easy to forget how awesome that is.
That's the mission. It's what we love most.
I have this crazy theory.
I love a crazy theory.
What does this mean?
I don't know. Shut up.
Do you know the odds of all of us being here at this time? It's improbable, and yet here we are, together.
Surprise!
Live long and prosper, Mr. Boimler.
You also live and.
So yeah, a lot of scenes that weren't included in the first trailer, most notably the lower deck stuff, but I'm going to get to that in a minute. But before I break the trailer down, I just wanted to say thanks for taking the time to choose to watch this video. If you're a new viewer or even a returning viewer and you haven't done it already, please subscribe to the channel, and if you make it to the end, leave a like on the video as well. But anyway, what's going on in this trailer? So I've taken a few screen grabs, not of every frame in every shot, just of the ones that I think kind of matter or tie in together. So if there's anything that I've missed out and you want to talk about it, you can do it in the comments and I'll probably reply. Anyway, so opens with a shuttle crash by the looks of it, and we get scenes of this in the first trailer as well from Uhura. But in this, we're getting quite a good look at most of the crew. And looking at the shuttle, it also looks as if it's got something wrapped around it. I'm not sure if that's some sort of weapon or it's flown through some sort of debris. There is a scene later on, or a couple of frames later on, with a damaged or destroyed starship. But yeah, I don't know if that's going to be the same episode. And then we see the inside of the shuttle from the crew's point of view, and they've got some sort of new additions to their away team uniform by the looks of it. They've got this sort of new coloured body armour, which, I'll be honest, I don't like. I mean, for the gold it kind of works, but that sort of sparkly red that Ortegas is wearing, I just do not like that at all. We also see that Mbenga and Sam Kirk are on this mission, whatever it is as well. And the blue one does look a little bit better. I don't get why the red one is so bright. And the first few shots of the trailer are all of this shuttle crash, but it doesn't really let us know what's caused it or where they are. Then we get another shot of the Enterprise. Now it looks as if it's on a planet, but I think it was Trek on the Tube mentioned this in one of his live streams, that he thinks there's going to be an episode where the Enterprise gets shrunk, sort of like Ant-Man. And looking at this shot, I think that might be the case, because imagine, you know, like this is a cell or something like that. Like, yeah, especially given like the way the Enterprise is framed in the shot, it's very small and everything around it is huge. So that either means that the Enterprise is quite far away from whatever's in the foreground, or the Enterprise is a lot smaller than usual. But I think there's a pretty good chance they're going to do something like that. Deep Space Nine done it. I think it was in that episode One Little Ship. And Star Trek likes to borrow from itself, let's be honest. So the next shot shows up pretty much in the first trailer, and it's Uhura, and it's a shuttle crash as well. Is it the same one? Probably. Actually, maybe not, because she's not wearing that shiny new body armour, so I don't know. But yeah, multiple shuttle crashes in a season. Could be possible, I suppose. So initially, this looks like some sort of small town in North America or Canada, and I thought, well, maybe it's some sort of Earth colony or human colony out in space, because the next sort of couple of shots that you see are someone in a Starfleet uniform reacting to an alien ship that's hovering above. Kind of like an Independence Day style thing. So yeah, someone's wearing a Starfleet uniform. So initially I thought, as I said, it's a colony, it's somewhere like that, it's just supposed to look sort of old Earth. But if you look in the bottom left hand corner of the picture, there's a car. So, I mean, it could be some sort of alien version of a car. It could be a car that I'm not familiar with, I'm not into cars myself. But the way that these people are dressed and the fact that there's a car in it makes me think that it might actually be on Earth, set around our time, if not the future. What do you guys think? Because I was really sort of 50-50 over if this was going to be a colony or it was going to be the past. I'm not too sure, but I want to hear what you think, so let me know in the comments below. So the shot after that, it's one, again, I think that was sort of shown in the first trailer, which is the Enterprise flying through an asteroid field. That's how that started, if I remember correctly. Or it could be playing into the theory as well that the Enterprise has shrunk. I don't know, but I think it's more likely that they're trying to evade some sort of enemy ship by going into an asteroid belt. Then there's this weird one of Chapel, and I couldn't get a really good picture of it, but it looks as if she might be involved in the shuttle crash, but again, she's not wearing the shiny body armour that the rest of them were wearing, unless they're going down there to rescue her, or she's going down there to rescue them and they crash as well. Now, this is a really interesting one. We've got Khan and Kirk back in time, and it looks as if they're watching an explosion go off, either really far in the distance or outside. It could be, like, you know, a nuclear bomb going off miles away, or it could be a building collapsing a couple of blocks away. It's sort of hard to tell. So yeah, it looks as if wherever they're going, they're going to end up, again, round about our present. And I wonder if this is going to tie into the Third World War, because, you know, Khan, Third World War, Genetic Superman, they've got to sort of link why these two are, well, linked. And the next shot is even more interesting. Shot is just Kirk and Khan on the other side watching this, and from this, it does look like a big nuclear explosion in the distance, as opposed to, as I said, a building closer to them, because the light would be all over their face if the building was only a block or two away. So I think they are going to go back to the nuclear war or the Third World War or the eugenics war. I know they're all different or they're all the same depending on which version of canon you believe. But if you're asking me what are the chances I think that the Khan is going to show up, i.e. the Ricardo Montalban one, I think it's probably 99%. If we don't see a younger Khan cast, I think he'll show up maybe on TV, or they'll find a file or something like that with a picture of him. Because he's an iconic villain, obviously, I don't know how or when they're going to fit him in, let's say, in what sort of capacity, but yeah, Khan pretty much coming back. Then we get another one of Kirk. This looks like it's happened before they've travelled back in time, where he's talking to someone. I think it's Uhura, because just the way the uniform looks a little bit red, and the fact that you can't really see that they've got hair, which is the only one really short hair in the show. And then the next picture, again, scenes of this were in the first trailer with Pike and a few other crew members on an alien planet, and it's really reminiscent of the Cage. But in the next shot, you can see that Pike is heavily involved, and he's fighting someone that looks like, you know, a sort of old school Genghis Khan style warrior. And the next one is really interesting. I've got no idea if this is the same episode or not, but Pike is in a building. It looks like a very old school, you know, 19th century kind of building, especially with the way that there's drapes and the look at those windows as well. But it's what he's doing is someone is shooting at him and he's doing his best Captain America impersonation, which is ironic because Anson Mount is Black Bolt. But yeah, I really wonder if this is the same episode where they're going to be fighting these Genghis Khan looking guys, because the shot after that Clearly this is going to be the antagonist of this episode. But what's really interesting is not what's going on with the guy. I mean, he's got a crown on and robes and stuff like that. But if you look at the guards on either side of them, they're holding Starfleet phaser rifles. The one that they used, I think it was in the first couple of seasons of Discovery. So, is this a Federation colony? Is it something else? I don't know. Now, the next couple of shots seem to be connected. We get someone turning a handle. It looks as if it's on an airlock. Because the shot after that, it's Chapel. And I think it's Mbenga. It's hard to tell because the face is totally obscured. But given the build and given the fact that they're the sort of two closest characters together in the show in terms of work, I think it's most likely him. As I mentioned earlier on in the video, there's a few scenes with a sort of destroyed or heavily damaged Starfleet ship, so it might be them escaping from that ship. It actually looks as if Chapel might be wearing the same grey uniform in the picture earlier on where she was trapped, so I suspect that's probably the case. And then the next shot is Khan and Pike on a planet. It looks as if it's the same one from the one he was fighting on earlier on. And this is very interesting. If you look at what she's holding, it's an old style sort of telescope that, you know, people in the 24th, 25th century shouldn't be using. So I wonder where they are. Maybe they're undercover trying to fit in on this planet. I think that's probably the case because they mentioned the Prime Directive last season. Then there's a shot of the Enterprise bridge with number 1 in the chair, so at least she's getting to do something, because let's be honest, they'll probably do what they done in season 1 and get rid of her as soon as they can every episode. Now here we get a shot of Spock walking on the Federation starship that I mentioned. There's another scene in a second where it looks as if this has been attacked by the Gorn, but I've had a bit of a look and I can't see any registry numbers. It does look like a Constitution class. It's probably something different because they just sort of remodelled it and named it a different brand of ship last year. Then we get a completely different shot of Ortegas and Uhura. You can't really see her, but she is in the background. There's a follow-up shot later on. And this sort of looks like the same kind of setup from, I think it was episode 2, where they have to sort of get out of the asteroid. I don't know if this is going to be a follow-up to that directly, because it does look a little bit different. Then we've got a close-up of Mbenga, again wearing another brand new uniform. That's another one for the cosplayers. Then we get a shot of Spock with the Klingons. This was in the first trailer as well. And I still really think that they might bring up Gorkon here, which would be the link to Star Trek 6. I don't know if the writers of this show are that smart, but hopefully they've done a bit of Wikipediaing with Spock and Klingons and found out. But that's just fingers crossed for me. Then there's a couple more shots of Uhura on the Enterprise, and it looks as if she's talking to the new engineer, because the next one is, well, her talking to the new engineer. And I don't know, they're not showing us a lot of this new character, so I don't think she's going to be that good. And I'm going to make a prediction here. I'm going to do a separate predictions video, so subscribe to make sure you don't miss it. But I think this engineer will be out and a certain Scottish one will be in. Probably by season 3, if not before it. Because, yeah, the fact that they've got this big comedic actress in to play the character and they're not showing us any footage doesn't fill me with confidence on that, let's just put it that way. And we've got a great shot here again that looks like this is a Starfleet ship from earlier on, and it's doing the whole crashing into the planet thing that we've seen in Star Trek Beyond and the search for Spock, and this looks really good. Look, this is probably one of my favourite shots of the entire trailer. And then we get a shot of Chapel kissing Spock. Whatever, they played. But it's this one of Spock that's really interesting. I found it hard to catch this. He's not wearing a Starfleet uniform, and he doesn't look like he's on the Enterprise. He doesn't look like he's anywhere on Vulcan either. I'm really interested in this because it looks as if he's on some sort of modern sailing yacht or some kind of office underground or something like that. There's this, and I'm going to try and put in a clip of the scene and slow it down because it looks as if he's either doing some sort of martial arts or dancing, but yeah, this one's got me scratching my head. I've got no idea what's going on here. And then a shot of which is probably Chapel and Spock. And finally, we get a decent look at number 1. She's on some sort of desert planet with Spock. I don't think there's any other scenes that showed a desert planet, but like in Mbenga, she's not in the trailer much, and she wasn't in season 1 much, and I've got some thoughts on that, as you know. And there's a really cool picture of what looks like a Starfleet or Federation craft, slightly bigger than a shuttlecraft, landing on some sort of alien planet. Now, this is probably the planet with the snow on it, I would bet. But again, there's no sort of real insignia or anything on it that lets you know where it's coming from. But yeah, I definitely think this might be a sort of scout ship, similar to the one that Data was using in Star Trek Insurrection. Now, this is the big one, and they dropped a clip of it, I think, a few weeks ago. It appears to be Kirk meeting Uhura, and this is the moment I was dreading, because when they're doing a prequel and they're potentially changing canon, that's going to be interesting. I mean, why did Kirk never mention that he had some sort of longer history with Uhura and Spock? And we still need to see this Kirk around Spock in the present and seeing how they're going to interact. But yeah, I've got a few feelings on the new Captain Kirk, and none of them are particularly good. I don't like the fact that they brought him in so quickly. It was like when they brought Pike in to save Discovery in season 2. And any interaction that he has with anyone that's going to be in his crew in the future, I'm very wary of how that's going to affect Star Trek canon. And all the arguments it's going to cause online, obviously, as well, that I don't want to get into. Now, let's get to one of the money shots. We know we're getting the Lower Deck crossover. I did mention in my last trailer breakdown that there was no footage of this. And we get our first look at Boimler and Mariner, played by the voice actors. I don't need to tell you their names. And this looks great, but in particular, one of them that I wasn't expecting looks better than the other. I always thought, you know, Jack Quaid as Boimler, they just need to stick a wig on him and that's pretty much it. But with Mariner and Tawny Newsome, Mariner's face and hair is totally different, so I wondered how they were going to do that. And she looks brilliant. I think she looks the better of the two, because this is really nitpicky, but if you look at their uniforms, so they've got the sort of black bit, the white line, and then the red. And hers, the sort of black bit at the top, is a lot shorter than Jack Quaid's. His looks like it hasn't been measured correctly, and hers looks like it fits. And that might just be down to the body frame of the actors, or it might have been a measuring issue. But yeah, she definitely looks a lot better in the uniform than he does. Now, this shot, I'm willing to bet, is either Mariner or Boimler waking up once they've arrived. Because the way that these actors or the characters are looking down, that's not a standard Star Trek shot. It looks as if it's going to be a comedy one, which is why it makes me think it's going to be one of the Lower Decks gang. Now, this is a really, really interesting one. Although, because obviously this is a still picture, in the clip the Enterprise does rotate, so it's the right way up. But it's what's going on around them. It's like these Klingon ships. I'm not sure if these are 3 different ships or just the one ship, because if you look at the lighting at the two at the top, the lighting and the position is exactly the same. So I don't know if they're going through some sort of subspace anomaly that might shrink the ship. Initially, I thought that they were maybe using the spore drive and the ship was spinning. But yeah, I think they're trying to escape the Klingons here, and I think this might be the episode where they shrink down. But as always, these are just my thoughts. I want to hear what you think, so let me know in the comments below. As I said, I didn't cover every frame and every shot of the trailer, so if there's something that I missed out that you noticed, let me know as well. And if you want to follow me on Twitter and talk about it, you can reach out to me at The Geeks Reviews. And if you've made it this far, as always, leave a like on the video, and if you haven't done it already, subscribe to the channel. I'm kind of looking forward to season 2. Like I say, I'm a bit dubious on what they're going to do with Kirk and everything else. But if you're looking forward to it, I hope that you enjoyed this trailer and you enjoyed this video. I'm going to be covering the entire season as always. And with Picard Season 3 review, the full one is coming as well. It's going to be one of the longest videos I've ever made, which is why it's taking so long. So thanks for your patience. And this has gone on too long, so my name's Al. Thanks for watching.